So there's one more thing that I want to put into this procedure. I talked about it briefly earlier, but we're trying to automate the user's experience. In this case, trying to make it easier, more intuitive to sort a list. Now, we've provided them with a prompt. Input box, it comes up on the screen, gives them 3 choices. Now, what happens if the user inputs a value that we're not accounting for? They type in a 4, or they type in division. They don't type in 1, 2, or 3, but they type in something else. What happens now? Well, let's see what happens. If I go ahead and get my windows side by side each other, I'm going to go run my procedure. So let's say I type in a 4. I type in 4, I hit OK. Oh, did it do anything? Well, that 4, it's being stored inside the variable. But down here, we're never accounting for the number 4. We don't tell it what to do. So the procedure just ends. Just like, okay, I'm done. You didn't tell me what to do with the 4. Okay. So we need a way to be able to catch that. If they didn't type in a 1, 2, or 3, they did it wrong. We need to let them know what went wrong. Because now a user's looking at your document like, I don't know if it did anything. We need to account for that. Errors, end user errors within our VBA code. Catch it, direct them, tell them what went wrong, and how they can fix it. So let me get my VB back here. We talked about ifs. We did our initial if for the 1. We did 2 else ifs for 2 and 3. Now we're going to bring one more in here, but this isn't going to be an if or an else if. This is going to be an else. So we're saying, hey, check to see if it equals 1. If it doesn't equal 1, then check to see if it's equal to 2. If it's not 1 or 2, see if it's equal to 3. Well, if it's not 1, 2, or 3, then I want you to do this, or else. It's none of those, else. So here, I'm going to bring in another built-in function inside of Excel VBA called message box. This is just a simple prompt that's going to come up on the user screen, and we're going to supply them with the message. So I'm going to open that up, message box, and I'm going to say, inside the message box for the prompt, I'm going to do invalid value. And then I'll give them an option. I'm going to say try again. And that's all I'm going to do. Just a simple little message box. Tell them invalid value and then say, hey, want to try again? So let's go ahead and run this, see what happens. Again, let's get our windows side by side. I'm going to click into there. I'm going to hit the run button. There's my prompt. So let me try out the 1 first. All right, that works. I just did it by division. Let me go run the procedure again. All right, I'm not reading it. Let's type in category, or a number 4 or something that doesn't exist that we haven't accommodated for. I'm going to hit OK. Oh, and now I've got a prompt that tells me invalid value. Try again. All right, I want to try again. Oh wait, they've only given me an OK button. I want to give them options. Yes, I want to try again, or no, I was just kidding. I don't want to try it again. Because right now, if I hit OK, nothing happens. Doesn't do anything for me. I want to re-prompt them. If they say yes, I want to try again, I want to give them a new prompt so they can type in the 1, 2, or 3. Now, remember the MSG box, it's built in. It's part of Excel VBA. With a little bit of input from us, in this case, a message, a prompt, we can give the information to the users and be descriptive about it. But you recall, the message box, it only has an OK button. I want to give the user some choices, yes or no, to try again. Inside the MSG box function, I'm going to move just to the right of my prompt, invalid value, try again. And I'm going to do comma, and this gives me an additional argument here called buttons. And I get to pick from, get that back up there, some predefined button sets. That's what all these are right here, different types of buttons that we can use on the message box. One of them is VB yes, no. I'm going to give that one a double click. VB yes, no. Now, oh, I clicked away and it's giving me an error. Compile error, expected equals. A lot of times the errors that you get inside of VBA, inside your Visual Basic Editor, they're not very descriptive. But thankfully you're taking this course. I'll help you out here. So what's happening here is we're now giving the user some choices. A yes and a no button. Because they now have choices, we need to determine whether they hit yes or whether they hit no. So we need a way to be able to get that input back from the user based on their button press. How am I going to do that? How do you retrieve information and store it? A variable. I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to create another variable. We'll say dim. I'll call it try again as. Now this is important. I'm going to store this one as an integer or a numeric value. Dim try again is the name of the variable, and we're going to store an integer in there. Now the reason why an integer, let's come back down to our message box. So the user gets a prompt. They're now going to have two buttons. Yes, no. Based on which button they press, we're going to get a number back to us. If they click yes, the message box returns a 6. If they hit no, it returns a 7. An integer value, 6 or 7, numeric value. So down here I'm going to say try again equals. That's that error that we got. Remember expected equal sign? It expected that we're gathering the information from the yes, no buttons. So try again equals are the results of our message box buttons. So let's try running this. I'm going to go hit the play button. There's my prompt. I'll type in a 4. That's one that we didn't accommodate for. Okay. Oh, invalid value. Try again. So now I got two buttons. And based on which button I press, if I hit yes, the variable try again that we just created would be equal to 6. If I hit no, the variable try again would be equal to 7. It returns that value based on the button presses. So I hit yes, try again would then be equal to 6. Now, if we give them the option to try again, I need to know which button they pressed and then direct them the appropriate way. So down below our new try again equals message box, I'm going to use some more logic. I'm going to say if try again equals 6, meaning what? They pressed yes. And then, and if. So, if they said yes, I want to try again, what are we going to do? How am I going to get the whole input box thing to come back up again and repeat this whole process? I'm going to make a call to the procedure itself. I'm going to copy that, paste it down below. Just like we made a call to the division and category and total sorts, those other procedures, we're just making a call to the procedure itself. And this will restart the process once again. Now, I'm not going to do anything for no or 7, because if they hit 7, it'll just end the procedure. We'll call it done. If they hit no, returns a 7, right? So let's get our windows side by side. I'm going to go ahead and run my procedure. So I type in a 4. I hit OK. There's my prompt, invalid value, try again. I hit yes, and it reprompts me again. If I type in a 2, I'll sort by division. If I rerun the procedure, type in a 4, we know if I hit yes, it restarts it again. Remember, because that returned a 6. 6 is equal to yes, yes is equal to 6. If I hit a no, we didn't tell it what to do. It returned a 7. That's not a 6, so it just ended the procedure. We're catching errors, making sure that you got all your bases covered, automating the experience for your users, and catching potential errors that can happen in there, and accommodating for those errors. making sure that you direct the user to a safe spot. So try this out. Get an else in there, build in your variable, get your message box inside there, and then build your logic to capture the yes or the number 6 that comes back when the user presses yes. Now the 6, that's just built into the application, built into the buttons. It's called a constant value. Yes, in this case, is always going to be equal to a 6.